Hello, welcome to the Just One Man podcast with me, Jordan.
Me, Mark.
Me, Josh.
Three me's. Three amigos.
Three amigos.
Three amigos.
Yes. If you're watching, thanks. Buckle up. It's going to be a bit of a journey. It's a bit of a journey for all of us. This podcast has come about quite naturally, quite organically, and it's come about very quickly as well. And I'm really honoured and really blessed, I suppose, to kind of embark on something I've really wanted to do for a long time with these two fine gentlemen here. If you're wondering where we are smack bang in the middle of Merthyr Tydfil. We're in the Iron Dragon in town, who have very, very generously given us the upstairs room. They haven't given us stuff for free.
No,
but
they will.
But they may, if you're watching this. But yeah, we've got a lot to get off our chests. We've got a lot of people and a lot of guests coming up as well, who have a hell of a lot to get off their chests. And we want to just be trying to raise as much awareness of mental health, not only where we live, but to anywhere that's got an internet connection and has stumbled across this podcast. So, I suppose, like all good stories, you've got to go back to the beginning. And how did this all come about? Where did we meet? There's a little club that you may or may not have heard of, called Andy's Man Club, which I believe has over 160 locations at the moment.
Yes, throughout the UK.
Throughout the UK. And we are very, very fortunate to have one right here in our town. And we're also very fortunate to have one of the facilitators of Andy's Man Club as part of this podcast, which is young Joshua.
Well, we do our bit, I suppose, don't we? Well, we try and do our bit.
So in terms of Andy's Man Club and kind of how that's come to Merthyr and what it means to Merthyr, in a snapshot, what would you say the club means to the town?
Well, for a start, it's in the Merthyr Football Club, so it's a bit of a big club brought to this town, which is only going to get bigger and bigger from now on in. We grow every week, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah, definitely. What does it mean to you, Josh?
Well, I live and breathe it, to be honest. And that's why I'm here with you.
Yeah.
Beautiful gentleman.
So you attended the one in the Rhondda for a few months.
Yeah, so I went to the one in the Rhondda for 9 months, while in talks with Andy's Man Club UK about getting one in Merthyr. Tried hard. It was a long, nearly 11 months. But we are here, and this is where we're going, and we're moving forward. And obviously this is why we're doing this podcast as well. I just think we do need to get more people on board, and this is probably one of the best ways where people can listen when they're driving to work. They can watch on YouTube, you name it, they can find it.
Yeah.
If they want to listen in, they can.
Yeah.
And by all means, anyone got any questions they want to ask us about the club, not about the club, anything they want us to add into the podcast, let's have them. And we'll go through every question, through every podcast. With obviously, if we have enough time, we'll get through them all.
Yeah.
Depending on the amount of messages we have.
Definitely.
Obviously, like Mark has said, we got plenty of guests who want to come on and tell us their stories.
Yeah.
But I think moving forward, we are getting it.
So obviously you've successfully launched it in 9 weeks. Is it 9 weeks? 10 weeks?
9 weeks, yeah.
9 weeks now, recording this podcast, and 14 men through the door yesterday.
Yeah, it's just great to see new faces come through the door every week.
Yeah.
You know, with how mental health is at the moment, especially this time of year. A lot of people struggle through this time of year anyway.
Yeah.
Without the climate we're actually living in now. Without putting any pressure on anyone, they walk through the door themselves. You know, they're welcomed by everyone that's in that room.
Yeah.
And I just think it's great that everyone is getting involved in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the hardest thing is for them is walking through the door. But there's no pressure, you know, we'll get them there.
Yes, definitely.
It's not for everyone. You know, everyone works differently. Other people may go to different clubs, you know, and that's how it is.
Yeah, and that's
But,
fine too.
Yeah.
That's
you know,
okay.
There's different clubs out
I don't want
there.
everyone to be, oh yeah, you've got to come Andy's Man Club. No, it's not Andy's Man Club. It's
Whatever you
the
feel.
amount of clubs out there and help out there at the moment.
Yeah.
It's like, just get on it.
Yeah. But
Got to talk.
yeah, so obviously then me and Josh went. Obviously I went to support Josh and ended up staying for the 8 weeks. So I thought it was an absolutely great place to go. And my first night.
Yeah, I was there. I've been there since day one.
OGs, boys. OGs.
OGs of AMC Merthyr Tydfil. It's again. I 100% agree, Josh, what you're saying in that we're at a time where there's a real focus on men's mental health, rightly so, as it's been one of those kind of aspects of health and well-being that have flown under the radar for so many years, and there just wasn't enough support. It wasn't talked about. It was stigmatized. Lots of judgment. There's lots of stereotype of what a man should be and how a man should act. And it is refreshing to know that there are so many different groups of varying sizes, of varying specialities as well. You know, you've got some groups which can offer professionally trained medical advice, professional advice. You've got peer support groups, you know, and they all bring something different to the table. And I think Andy's Man Club being set up in Merthyr is a massive achievement. And I'll be honest, when I first walked through the door, I went for a couple of reasons, and I went because I was curious and I was interested as to how it was all going to work. I had seen the banners on Pendarren Park for a long time. I had seen stuff on social media, but I didn't know what Andy's Man Club was. I didn't know any story behind it. I didn't know how big it was. I didn't know if it was a regional thing in Wales, if it was a UK thing. I had no concept of that. And I think there was an element where I was curious. I wanted to see what it was about. And I've done different bits and bobs over the years and been an advocate for mental health. And I've been involved with different campaigns like Time to Change Wales. And you know, I've done bits and bobs with Mind and Come Taff Morgannwg Mind. And fundraised, etc., and tried to raise awareness whenever I can. But I went because I was curious, and I was sort of, all right, what's this about? And I'll be honest now, on camera and on being recorded, I had absolutely no intention of it being as big a part of my life as it has been for the last 8 or 9 weeks. Where I was just instantly sold. I was sold by the idea, I was sold by the people that were there, the format of it, I thought was really different and really refreshing. And it was just how at ease I felt straight from the off. And I think as the weeks went on, you know, and you heard about all these kind of almost corny expressions, you're not just men, you're like a brotherhood, you come here for, to get stuff off your chest and you leave with 11 mates and all the rest of it. And you think, yeah, how true's that, you know? But it is true.
Yeah.
I am living proof of that, because I think it's fair to say that all of us, all three of us, have made friendships with people through Andy's Man Club
Yeah.
that we would not normally have made friendships with, and we definitely wouldn't move in the same circles,
Yeah.
whether it be in because of age, or just our professions, or just anything like that. So I think it's been really eye opening, and it's such a valuable thing to have in the town.
Yeah.
And if anyone is watching in Merthyr and is a male who's over the age of 18 and is thinking to themselves, I'm interested in knowing what it's about, pop up to Pendarren Park, Merthyr Town Football Club, every Monday except back holidays, between 7 and 9 p.m, and have a look what it's about. As Josh very rightly said, it may not be for you. You may find that you get kind of a more helpful experience somewhere else. That's perfectly okay. That's perfectly fine. You know, I have affiliation with multiple mental health groups, but I would definitely say, you know, that if you're a male and you hit a certain age bracket, 18 plus, and you think, do you know what, I've got stuff going on, I want to vent, I want to meet some new people, and try and see if I can make sense of it.
Yeah.
At least give it a bit of a shot. But yeah, it's you know, and it's been great. And then we were all kind of sat round, and Josh, at the risk of making him turn beetroot red, you've devoted so much of your time.
Oh my God.
And your effort and your energy to this club and Andy's Man Club, and what it stands for, and the change it can make for people. But you're never satisfied. You always want that extra person, you know. And there's an irony. The podcast is just one man, because we are talking to that just one man. You know,
and
you want to help that one man, but you want to help everybody.
It is hard. But I'm happy. As long as we get one new man every Monday, you know, I'm happy, because I know that we are promoting it enough, and people are still walking through the door, and that's what we're about. And like you said about the friendship side of it, like, we wouldn't all be sitting here now.
No.
If it wasn't for that club.
No.
Because we never would have walked
Well,
past.
Funny you should say that.
Funny you should say.
Because I've never met Mark,
No.
but we've been talking over the last 3 weeks, and it finds out that we should have met.
We probably have met many
In
times.
the 30 years I've been on this planet, I haven't met him, but according to my mum, his mum, we've crossed paths quite a number of times. But
So you're the odd one out. Sorry, man.
I'm going.
But yeah.
I'm not going anyway.
But you know, I think it was you know, seeing you kind of wanting to do more and kind of aspiring to kind of, okay, what else can we do?
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to you, maybe Jordan was sat there thinking the same thing, and so was I, and we were like, we could do a podcast.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, there's no in between with the podcast. You know, we can invite people on. Look how many people we need to come on.
Yeah.
They want to sell their story. They want to tell people about it. And I think it's great that people are getting up there and telling their stories. Not just men, women.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're about. You know, although we met at Andy's Man Club, that's absolutely fine. And that is there for everyone, like all the other ones out there. You know, that's out to this podcast. But when we're in this podcast, there's so much we can achieve in this podcast.
Yeah.
It's just, we just keep going until there is nobody left.
Until we've interviewed people that don't even want to be interviewed.
But no, like you said, it's, even though it's that one man, like that, we want to help that one man.
Yeah.
There are women out there that unfortunately have experienced the loss of that one man too.
Yeah.
And it affects, so, whatever age, that one man could have had a son. And to be able to talk to women as well, mothers that have got to deal with the son now who's got that mental, could have stated that they've just lost their dad.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, just lost their dad, whether to be an illness, an accident, or through mental health. I think that this podcast will not only help men, it will help the women as well. Just even though we're nowhere near professionals at all in this game, but we've all gone through something that's made us want to be you. And gone through some sort of trauma, whether it be so small or a massive trauma. We are here to kind of tell it. We've gone through it. We've experienced what other people are thinking, feeling, going through at the moment, or have been through. It's really good. But and like the story, we're gonna delve into other people's stories. So like for the first episode, we haven't got a guest on, but all three of us have got stories to tell.
We do.
I'm not going to go into that. I was born in 1990. It's not going to be that. So mental health then.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
In a little house in Tyne Inn. No, I'm joking. So I've never thought of mental health, to be fair, until Andy's Man Club. But now going back to school days, it's like, oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just thinking of it, going, what? How I didn't click to the fact that this could be causing me the reason.
You weren't quite wired the same way as the other kids.
No.
Things affected you a little bit more.
I think it comes with age as well, though.
Your realisation.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing.
If we could all look back in it.
Oh yeah, well that's what I've been doing, is looking back to the school days, and yes, I had friends. Everybody has friends, but it's the fact that who your friends actually were. If any of the people that were in school with me are listening, then it's hard to say, but it's a case of how that the name calling, the day-to-day run-ins of they think it's funny, caused now to me thinking back and talking to it on a mental health podcast. I'd say so like the names, the funny, I look back at it now and I laugh, which is good. So a couple of the people used to call me the Incredible Sulk.
The Incredible Sulk.
I like it.
You've got to give them points, haven't you? For creativity.
Creativity-wise.
Are we going off a scoreboard here? Or?
Well, if you want to.
The Incredible Sulk.
The Incredible Sulk.
What colour did you go?
Yeah.
Red. That was my red.
Okay.
And I've always suffered then with very bad temper. So the reason why they used to call me the Incredible Sulk, you can laugh if you want. They used to wind me up to the point where I used to squeeze their heads.
I shouldn't know. You should know. We should laugh.
Two palm of my hands.
Don't do that, kids.
No. And I wouldn't squeeze that. I don't think I'd squeeze that anyway. But yeah. So that's where the.
You're a big guy. So I'm guessing you were quite a big kid.
Yes, it was. But yeah, the Incredible Sulk appeared.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we should get a T-shirt made for the next podcast.
The Incredible Sulk. Talk about going through some of his childhood trauma, and you just get t-shirt, mate, capitalise on it. That'll show him. That'll show, good action
He's on a
figures.
mission.
But I'm glad I can look back at it now and laugh about it. To be fair,
Yeah, I think
you know,
school is probably one of the hardest places to be. Like,
100%.
But when I look back on it now, those people that were binding you up, they'd never do it on their own, would they?
No.
Oh no,
No.
It's
And
a
it
pack.
goes to
It's
show-
a pack mentality.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And those people, they do change over the years.
Yeah, I'd always get really frustrated because you'd have situations where if you could isolate one of the pack,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they'd
It
be all
changed.
right.
Yeah.
They'd, 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
they'd be all right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they talked to you tight. But then it was almost like you
It's
put
like-
them in front of the gang, and they were like
When
show
all eyes are
pony.
watching, it's like,
Yeah, they
come on,
show
let's come out to
ponies.
play.
Yeah.
And
100%.
I think everybody that's gone to school can appreciate a time or a moment where that's happened. Would you say now? Obviously, as I say, with hindsight, are you? How different are you now than when you were in school? Is it the case that if people had never met you before, would they think that you were two different people?
Oh no.
No.
No. It's if something kind of my temper. I do lose my temper, which I'm not proud of, but
Everyone loses their temper.
Yeah.
That's just
but nobody sees it these days.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be the smallest things, could be the biggest things. I will lose my temper. You'll see it. So if I'm talking, so the wife will probably see it. My mother would see it. My father, but they all know. Well, my mother and father, and
Kind of how to handle the situation.
yeah.
How to best control the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. My father goes in the shed and gets the plaster out to plaster the wall back in.
Okay.
No, you're joking. Well,
Well, I was going to say, like, if
sorry, Jordan, I won't get the plaster.
I was going to say, I don't know how long the ramp up time is between you being Jordan and between you turning red and becoming the Incredible Sulk. But it
is different now, and I do kind of look back and go, why did I go? Why did I do it? But there wasn't an off switch when I was younger. I don't think I would just lash out 100 mile an hour to show them you're pissing me off. But then they would find that as a fuel to go and let's wind Jordan up today.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah, let's just chuck some more kerosene on and just watch.
let's see
it.
how hot we can burn it.
pretty much.
Yeah, let's look how red we can make him. It is, isn't it? It is, and it's difficult.
But obviously, as the time went on in school, it never ended. It did end at some point, like you said, I was a big lad when I was younger, and then one of the main reasons then now that I am doing this and mental health wise is back in 2021, November the 21st, my wife suffered a cardiac arrest in her sleep, which was frightening, very, very frightening. I had to, I was half asleep. Luckily, I heard her snoring in bed. Tried to wake her up. I thought it was a bad dream, to be fair.
You would, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah. So I tried to wake her up. Nothing was happening. I ran around to her bed, checked her pulse, just to be like, just check the pulse. There was no pulse there. Panic stations. So I had to get her on the floor, ring 999, start CPR for 20 minutes. Well, then 20 minutes felt like 20 years. Looking into my wife's eyes and just thinking, that's it.
It's game over.
It's game over. And then paramedics turned up, shocked her twice, and she had a heartbeat, which was an absolute amazement, miracle. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Is the traumatising part of flashbacks, how to deal with the flashbacks and stuff like that. The NHS did offer counselling, but unfortunately I didn't hear anything. I didn't chase it up, but I know the NHS at the moment, I don't want to put them in a bad, they're not bad because they saved their life at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're just overwhelmed,
Yeah.
I think. And I think doing this, I think will hopefully take the ease off the NHS. Not I'm saying we're going to save the NHS by doing a podcast, but you know.
Yeah. And I suppose to a point as well, the ability to be able to talk, to vent, to get things out in the open. I suppose in its own way, that's a form of peer-to-peer counselling and peer support and therapy, if you like. That's not as kind of formal and regimented as maybe a medical professional would be.
No, that's right.
You haven't got the pressure of it either.
No.
It's it's literally like we're just three normal people talking about everything and anything, and which you can't talk about.
Very, very true. Very true. I can't believe it. I can't. You said into our t-shirts because in my head I'm designing them.
I think I might wear a crash helmet.
Oh wow!
In case you start squeezing.
Great. Yeah. Honest. So we know that you were one of the key and instrumental individuals in starting Andy's Man Club in Merthyr.
Yeah.
But I suppose, you don't just wake up one day and think, I'm going to try and start a mental health group for men and I'm going to try and get this kind of kick started. Everyone's got a reason, everyone's got a story behind it. And I suppose, kind of what's yours?
Mine is basically, for people who are listening in Merthyr, you two both knew him as well, Mr. Kerry Collins. I think it was actually the day of his funeral. I literally went home, sat down, sat in the house, and I was like, something needs to change in this town. Just something has to be done because Kerry was life and soul of the party. Football, like anyone who ever played football with him, they'll just tell you his famous words was just shout time at everyone. And everyone would just tell him to shut up. He's the happiest guy going, and you would say yourself, like, he'd play, he'd be up on stage in front of everyone and just wouldn't care. And he happily talked a few years ago in the Full Spectrum about his mental health and things needed to change. So after his funeral, I got in contact with Andy's Man Club. Probably they got back to me the next day. We set the meeting up 2 or 3 weeks later. Got the ball rolling. I was probably 6 weeks in, and then I got in contact with Mark and Madeline. They didn't know that I was actually in talks with Andy's Man Club about getting one in Merthyr.
So for the people who don't know, who are Mark and Madeline?
Mark and Madeline are Kerry's parents. They chose Andy's Man Club as the charity for the funeral. So I thought that would be my opportunity to use that as getting a group in the town, as he was such a big part of the town. I think myself personally.
Yeah.
I'd find it hard to disagree with him when you look at kind of names.
Yeah.
You know, and we were talking about it before we started recording, you know, about, you know, in Merthyr, the same in many valleys towns, you know, you have your families where you know them by surname, and there's kind of a connotation of what that surname means. But then you get individuals that kind of everybody knows, and I think Kerry was one of those kind of well, you know, like Merthyr celebrities, where kind of everybody knew, where everybody had some sort of Kerry Collins story, whether it was that they knew him from football, or they knew him from music, or they knew him just from being round and about rocking a Motorhead t-shirt with a leather jacket on.
Believe it or not, I never met him. I didn't know him, to be fair. But listening to you talk about him, his father talk about him. And I wish I did meet him, to be fair. I
What a guy, like.
I wish I did.
Just, you always have good hair as well, you've seen him.
Oh,
they never have hair on the face, would they?
Tremendous hair. And he used to do things that if anyone else had done them, you'd be like, what are you doing? And then he'd do it, and you're like, oh my God, that's cool. He just had this real knack of being cool. To the point of annoyance, because he was annoyingly cool. But he was a real.
So, with you, Peter, knowing him, when you heard the news of his passing, what deep down feelings did you have?
I didn't believe it.
No?
I literally didn't believe it. I had a phone call at work. I was like, nah, what are you on about? I spoke to him yesterday. No, so I'll sort them when I come home. I'll drop my message now. And then it was probably 2-3 hours later, looked on Facebook, and it was just like everything's just been turned upside down. I think I got home from work and I just sat there. I just couldn't believe it. That it can happen to someone like him, then who else can happen to? And then I really, really pushed hard after the funeral. Obviously, I got in contact with Mark and Madeline.
What was that conversation like?
That was deep. But it was probably one of the best conversations I had with him since his funeral, and it was just, I'm sure we'll go into more detail when we have a guest on.
Yes.
But yeah, that was probably a good and bad conversation all in one. Combined, more for good than anything. And then I really, really pushed hard for the next couple of months until I was given a date. That date couldn't come quick enough. I felt like 20 years had gone by, just waiting and waiting and waiting. And then we got the club open. And you find gentleman walks through the door on the first night. I don't think I slept for a week. I was that buzzing.
He was excited, but no, I you know, just to echo what Josh said, I remember hearing it, and I saw it on Facebook, because how could you not see it on Facebook? Because it flooded. It flooded people's news feeds, and there were the photos.
As soon as someone just even mentions his name now, I just got that image in my head.
I'm
standing there with a mic, and it's just
and you had just had the photos and these tributes, and beautifully written tributes, and you know, I remember a friend of mine ringing me as I was reading it and saying, have you heard? And I'm reading it, and I said it can't be right.
No,
it can't be right.
Exactly right.
And I think it was that big of a shock that you didn't really know what it meant for a little while. You didn't know. You always knew it, you know, because he was young. because he was so well known. You knew it was going to be something.
Yeah.
But I don't think you could appreciate how big the reverberation of his passing was, because people were coming out of the woodwork from all over the place. And
It
I
wasn't
mean,
just Wales. It
well,
was
no,
like
because
the
he
UK.
lived,
It
like he lived away from Wales for a while with bands and all the rest of it, and it was one of those kind of wow. And I was exactly the same, and I remember looking at his Facebook, like immediately after, and seeing the photograph of him in his bespoke Lost Boys leather jacket,
Yeah.
and thinking, but it was his birthday, like
Yes,
24 hours ago.
yeah.
Like what? Yeah, it was just. And I agree. You have these moments where you just think, it's got to stop.
Yeah.
It's got to stop. But I think in a strange way, and I know that we've chatted about this before, and I most definitely spoke to Kerry's dad about it, and to his mum as well. I think that what's going on is kind of a legacy of sorts. It's a bit of an odd legacy, but it's a legacy.
Yeah, and I think we spoke about that. I spoke with Mark and Madeline, and literally the club is for him, basically. That's I'm all about that. No in betweens. I live and breathe it.
So with this club now and doing this podcast, and like you're saying, it's basically there for Kerry. Does it kind of lift the weight off your shoulders a bit? It's like
It does. It's just the weight is lifted off my shoulders when I know people are walking through the door every Monday.
Because I was going to ask, is it a bit of an odd dynamic where oh my God, it's set up, and like all that hard work and effort, all that's gone, but then you've also got this kind of other weight of, oh my God, it needs to keep going, and also being as friendly with Kerry as certainly you were. You've kind of got, is there any part of you that thinks, oh well, I gotta make him proud. I gotta keep it going for him and for his namesake and his family and that.
Yeah,
is that part of it?
Yeah, definitely. I think for doing it for them reasons, it's just gotta keep it going.
Yeah.
He's got a shirt in the room we have meetings in. That means a lot.
Well, he's at every meeting.
Yeah,
if you think about it, he's at every
he is
meeting.
There, Yeah, and definitely week by week, I just get excited every Monday.
Yeah.
My Monday is probably the longest day on a Monday, just because I know that I want to get a club at the end of the day, so I love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I think it's your turn.
It's my turn. Yeah.
So obviously,
we don't want to know that you were born in the 60s and stuff. But,
everybody I know thinks I'm like 50, and
55.
I'm 34.
so I'm knowing you for the last 9 weeks.
Yeah.
Following you on your social media.
Okay. That's not creepy.
No, it's not.
At Mark Abraham 89. Give me a follow.
I have to kind of stalk you to see what I'm getting into doing
Yeah.
the podcast.
If you like photos of a crazy cocker spaniel and my newborn and food,
Get on the case.
get on the case.
Is that I've noticed that you are really pushing mental health.
Yeah.
And especially for men, mental health. I want to ask you why. Why? Why? It's a
Big question.
It is
Why?
a big question. I do it for a variety of reasons. Number one, my mental health is something I'm really at ease with, and I'm really at ease with in terms of talking about it.
Yeah.
And I discovered that my own therapy was talking and getting things off my chest and venting, because I, much the same as yourself, internalized quite a lot of any kind of mental health difficulties I would have had from a younger age. You know, there were things that happened in my early teens where there was the kind of the breakdown of a kind of a family dynamic, which I thought was unthinkable. I thought was absolutely unthinkable, and it really had ripple effects that went for years and years and years. And I grew up overnight on an October night in, you know, when I was 11 years of age, and I grew up overnight, and I had to kind of. Oh, I didn't have to, but I chose to be the old man who was born in the 60s. Because I grew up almost too quick, and I took life very seriously. I took things very seriously. I had a very pessimistic attitude from a really young age.
Right.
I had a real kind of thing about trust, where I found it quite difficult to trust people. And then when I did trust people, I would find that I would put a lot of my time and energy into that person, and then feel slighted if I didn't get the same back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, you know, part of it comes with maturity, that you learn that, you know, there's levels of friendship and all the rest of it, and that you don't have to talk to someone every single day for them to be your best mate or whatever. But I had a lot of insecurities when I was growing up around who I could trust, who had my back. I'm really fortunate in that there are a core group of individuals who even now, nearly 20 years on, are still my guys, my people. And I'm forever grateful for them. I'm blessed to have them. And, you know, there are probably times where things have gotten really difficult and really tough, where you do have some really kind of silly thoughts, and you go to a dark place, and you entertain the notion that, you know, maybe that's an option. Maybe I don't have to go through all this crap. And I'm really grateful, because there are a small pocket of individuals who have, who I personally think have kept me here. And I'm grateful for it, because every time that I've gone into a dark place, I come out learning a bit more about myself and knowing how to harness kind of how I feel. But I was clinically diagnosed with depression and anxiety when I was 24.
Oh, okay.
So it's been about 10 years when I was clinically diagnosed. And I got diagnosed about 14 or 15 months after the loss of my grandmother. And for anybody that's listening who knows me, or that knew my grandmother, they would know that we were incredibly close. It was proper, like, silver spoon in the mouth job, where, you know, I could do no wrong and all the rest of it. And that death really affected me. And I feel a sense of guilt sometimes, because both of my grandfathers died before I was born. My mother's father died when she was very young. My father's father died 6 weeks before my mum and dad got married back in the 1980s. And my mother's mum died when I was about 5, and I've got fleeting memories of her. But the only one that I had a long-lasting relationship with was my father's mother, and we
You're
were
probably so
incredibly
close as well, seeing this.
Oh, we were incredibly close, and you know, I was a bearer at the funeral. I read a eulogy. I wrote a eulogy and stood up in front of a packed out chapel and read a eulogy. And I still have times now where I really struggle that she's not here. I remember going to Reader Car Gym with Matthew Harris, current
The main man.
the current captain of Merthyr Town FC. And I remember going to the gym with him one afternoon. He had kind of coaxed me to go.
Yeah.
And again, I was not the most sporty of children. I come from a sporty family, but I myself was not sporty at all. I wasn't even good enough to be told I had 2 left feet. I was really bad. Like, I didn't play at all. But I remember going to the gym and coming out to read a car and saying to him, I'm going to ring my nan. She'll never believe this.
Yeah.
And she'd been gone about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that realisation of, I can't ring her.
And the
then,
realisation of being 6 weeks after.
yeah, and
It's like,
yeah,
you just,
you know,
it's another day.
and then you've got to do, the first birthday, the
Yeah.
first Christmas, and you kind of go through the, and they do get easier. By easier, I mean that you're better prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're still as hard now as they were all those years ago.
definitely, yeah.
But you just learn to survive the period of time
Yeah.
a lot better. But yeah, I was diagnosed about a year after. I had a really bad experience with my local GP of the experience, which I spoke about as part of a Time to Change Wales campaign, where they were talking about that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was and it went from there, and like it's kind of done this over time since.
I think you say like the anxiety part of it.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone suffers with a bit of anxiety, just for the littlest things.
I would agree. I think there's varying degrees of anxiety.
Yeah, like it probably so different for you, like going to the gym, and I bet Matthew Harris had to drag you up the house just because you did.
He did at that point, and then and then when lockdown happened, I stupidly took up running because I didn't want to be
I still haven't
stuck.
seen you running.
No, well, you wouldn't either. I've done that. That part's done.
We start
But
again.
no,
anyway.
I did. I did couch to 5k during lockdown. And in the first lockdown, I lost 4.5 stone.
Nice.
Wow.
And I did it for my mental health. I did it for my physical health. I
Yeah.
did it as a way of coping in the most weird time, certainly, of my life. But no, I went back to the gym in the October of 2020, and a majority of the weight loss actually came off as a result of being trained up by a very good friend of mine. But there was still anxiety then because I went into a gym where I didn't feel comfortable at all. Everyone else seemed like they knew exactly what they were doing. I'm
Rabbit in the headlights.
yeah, and I'm 6'2". At the time, I was something like 19 stone 6. And I look oafish. I look useless when I'm doing things like that because I don't naturally do them.
No.
And I remember having that thing of, oh my god, everyone's looking at me.
Everyone's looking at this.
And
Someone walks through the door,
yeah,
eyes are on you.
Yeah, and everyone's thinking, oh, look at him, he can't lift, and go on, look at the size of him.
Where everyone's in their own mindset,
yeah.
in the zone, and doing their own thing.
Yeah, and I had this kind of repetitive kind of thought process where I kept thinking, like they're looking at me and they're thinking, God, look at the size of him. Why is he lifting such a light weight? Yeah. And as you said, in reality, they were too busy focusing on themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, anxiety and depression, and it does. It got a habit. It'll creep up on you, and it's something I think you never get rid of. I just think you learn to live with it, and you learn how to kind of get along with it for the most part.
Yeah. I think anxiety is like very common with everyone.
Yeah.
But I feel like
I find it sometimes like if I go shopping and like I don't want to get out of the car, go in our shop. Just I haven't got the headspace for it.
But
Just
then
don't want to do it.
But then back 10 years ago, yes, you might have had to go shopping and stuff, and you would have felt exactly the same way. You wouldn't have put it down to anxiety. You
No.
probably because it wasn't talked about.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was you
just
know,
like
Just brush
yeah.
under the carpet.
Yeah, there was always just a reason that you just create.
Yeah.
Oh, I just can't be bothered. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it is. I'm tired.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired is the
Tired.
favourite. No, I'm just. Oh,
Just tired.
yeah. Is he off? No, he's just
No,
tired.
it's just tired.
And
but no,
when mine's doing 360 miles an
well,
hour.
well, yeah, you're thinking of this, that, and the other.
Steam's
and-
coming out of your ears.
Yeah.
You can't think straight. Can't even walk
No.
in a straight line.
No,
But it's just because you're tired.
yeah, it's just you're tired. Or again, the kids now. Kids are. There's more kids in schools now that are diagnosed with ADHD and autism and stuff like that. But then back in the day, they were just naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that conversation with people regular.
Yeah.
Where like we chat with it, and I just say that something happened, however many years ago,
Yeah.
where it became much more of a thing that things had to have a label.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because and that's something certainly in my own experience. I didn't want that label because I wanted for the longest time in school and life in general.
Yeah.
I wanted just to fit in.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be accepted and just be fit in and just have a cool thing that made me me. But I very much wanted to be part of a group. You know, I you know, and you know the kind of the thought then of being singled out of that group because you're the one with depression, or you're the one with anxiety, or you're the one who's autistic or ADHD, or you've got ADD, or
And now you look back and then like, I go fuck what anyone thinks of me.
I'll be honest. I always used to say that I had very few regrets because anything that went wrong or any mistakes or whatever led me to where I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'd be lying to myself if I said that because I do, and I'm a nostalgic type of person. I always look at old photos. I think of things years and years ago, and I always look back and I think to myself, what if I'd handled that differently? What if I'd had that bit of go about me to think, do you know what? No, I'm going to push through this and I'm going to put myself in uncomfortable situations because it is a cliche, but how many times have you wind yourself up, and then you put yourself in the situation you did not want to be in, and you end up having a good time. Or end up being all right. You know, like one of my best mates got married a couple of years ago, and they went to the Wave, which is the inland man-made surfing place just outside of Bristol and Western-super-Mare.
Oh, okay.
And my instinct was, oh my God, it's something physical. It's something sporty. It's something. I'll go on stag do's and I'll have I'll try keeping up with people drinking and I'll do this challenge and dress up stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
But I can't surf. I know I can't surf in, and then knowing there's not only everyone else.
They're all watching you as well.
But then also the lads in the group who I've known for 20 years.
Yeah. What are they going to think of you?
Oh, they're expecting me to be poor.
Yeah.
And I worked myself up terrible about it. And then when I went, I was awful. I was absolutely terrible. I'll be honest. I managed to stand once for about a millisecond, but I did stand. I will request CCTV to prove that I stood. But I did. I enjoyed myself, and I remembered afterward thinking,
So I think we should wrap it up. I think.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah.
We've gone over a little bit.
We have gone over a little bit. We said multiple times we wouldn't go over. We have.
But it's our first one.
It's our first one.
Introducing ourselves, getting to know us.
And we've only just taken, we
haven't opened the lid yet.
We haven't opened the lid. I was going to say tip of the iceberg. And then I thought, icebergs, I've seen how that ends. I watched Titanic. It didn't end up well in the end. No. So we are hopeful, and the people that have shown interest in coming on, and there's quite a few, who all have their own stories. As you mentioned earlier, we've got men who feel it's time to share. and who also feel as though what they're going to say is going to be able to help.
Yeah.
But then we've also got already some wonderful women as well.
Definitely.
Certainly, the two of which I'm absolutely desperate to get on, because I have nothing but respect for them, and one of them lives in Australia, and I don't know how the hell I'm going to make that work with time differences.
I'll be sleeping that day.
But yeah, we all are. But yeah, it's, you know, it's we want this. This is a labour of love for us, and something that we're really passionate about. And we just want to connect with that you know, just one man. We just want to connect with just one man and let him know, listen, if you need to talk, if you need to vent, you can message any of us. You can message the podcast on social media or email, which is justonemanpod@gmail.com. You know, you can do that. You know, and you may hear something that makes you think, God, you know, like, yeah, I connect with that. Well, that's what it's all about. It's making you feel, and making you aware that you aren't alone in whatever you're going through. There's been some element of it that at some point over the next however many weeks it'll be touched on. Total disclaimer: there's going to be some quite difficult conversations. We will kind of pre-warn in advance for any conversations that may be triggering.
Some might be very, very deep.
Yes.
We know you're to upset anyone.
No. We're not here to upset anyone.
We don't want to bring up bad memories.
They're just raw.
It's just
stories, really, which I think are the best stories that we need to tell them as.
Yeah.
But we'll link a few things in our description.
Yes.
Of if you want to go and find help in the relative groups, sectors.
Yeah.
You know, you got the mind. You've got
There's many.
Yeah, and if you're a part of a group, or if you know of anyone and you think, you know what, I wouldn't mind coming on the podcast to talk, but great. We'd love to have you from whatever group you're in. You know, because we want to be inclusive. And shall we drop the bombshell of who the first guest is?
Yeah, go on, Esther.
Well, it'll come as it may come as no surprise. Because we spoke about him earlier on. I'm absolutely honoured and privileged to say that in January we're going to have our first proper guest. Now that we've all kind of got into the groove of things a bit, even though he will absolutely rip us a new one, because he's basically like a kind of I don't know, he's like uncle, he's like a mad uncle.
Yeah, he is, isn't he?
But we love him to bits, and we're really, really honoured to have Mark Collins as our first proper guest to come on and talk about his and his family's experience following the passing of his son Kerry. I'm really grateful that he's agreed to come on and support this, as he supports so much with mental health and men's mental health, especially in this town and further afield. So yes, keep an eye out, because that will be one you do not want to miss, and I think everybody could learn a hell of a lot just by listening to Mark and how Mark conducts himself, because he's an absolute inspiration
and a great performer.
He's a great performer.
Absolutely great performer.
He's a great performer.
I can't wait. It's going to be good.
Cool.
Yeah. So at Just That One Man Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Get on
and then the email is
me.
Come on.
Sorry, justonemanpod@gmail.com.
But we'll catch you on the next podcast.
Yes.
With Mr. Mark Collins.
Don't want to miss that.
Give us a follow, give us a like, drop us a message. any questions you got for the next podcast, we can do a question
Questions,
section.
yeah.
Fling it
Fling it
over.
over.
I'm
Have a nice Christmas.
Have a
Stay
nice Christmas.
safe.
Have Happy New Year and all that.
See you in January.
Bye-bye.